Zinga, and this is episode number 750. That is 750 of the Agostinho Zinga show with your host Agostinho Zinga, and I hope you're doing well wherever this live podcast might be coming to you. I hope you are doing well wherever this live and direct in 4K HD podcast is coming at you. Today I'm going to be trying something a bit different. Usually when I do these pods, I kind of mix it up. I do it sometimes recorded, sometimes I do them live streamed over on YouTube, and then obviously rip the audio from that and upload them onto the audio platforms. This time around, what I'm going to do is I'm going to suspend all the alerts and stuff and not have the chat up on screen and just focus on rambling. I'm not too sure if that's going to work, but I'm going to try to change things up. So I'm going to have the random show, which I do, which is essentially a kind of a live stream on the comedy scene and stuff, and the Papa verse and the Jerry verse. I'm going to have that be the interactive live stream portion of what I do, where I interact with the chat. I kind of receive alerts and stuff from people and questions via the super chat and whatnot. But I think what I might start doing now with the Agostinho Zinga show, because this is more my cultural commentary sort of stuff, is just start rambling into the mic like I did before in the past, because sometimes I feel like whenever I'm doing both things on both shows, it doesn't really work. I think it probably works better just to ramble on this show, because it's mostly me just talking about shit that I'm into, as opposed to the other stuff, which is probably a little bit more interactive. You guys are giving me your opinion, we're kind of going back and forth, making each other laugh. I think that kind of works a bit better, so I'm going to try that. Hopefully it goes okay. Yeah, fingers crossed. There's no guarantees, but let's try it and let's see what I want. So on that subject, just to get right into it, because I'm not going to waste any more time for you, it's been an interesting week for me. Interesting flipping week. I'm not going to lie. Really interesting week, really weird one. I feel like I've been a bit, I feel like I've been a bit stuck in a rut a little bit, you know? I think I've been a bit stuck in a rut. I've been a bit distracted with some other things that I probably shouldn't be distracted by. So I'm trying to get back onto the horse again and keep on going. And I think legitimately what I probably should be doing is what I did in the past anyway, was just kind of knuckle down for the next kind of 6 months or whatnot, and just focus on the work, focus on myself and whatnot, and just get back to that level of kind of stability. And I think things should be where they need to be. Sometimes when you just put too much on your plate, when you start to like try to spin too many plates, when you try to hold too many plates, when you try to be too many plates, you end up having absolutely no plates. So in an effort for me to kind of keep the plates that I have, and I'm being vague and not getting into the details, but it's for a reason, I guarantee you I'm going to be focusing more on just making sure that I'm turning up every day and just doing the work that needs to be done. And that obviously includes stuff I'm doing here, includes my stuff I'm doing in my real life, all that good shit. Because one thing I noticed when I went to flipping Pirate Studios the other day, although I didn't really prepare too well for it, and you know, YouTube as well, man, god damn YouTube's copyright system. So I live streamed this set that I did at Pirate Studios the other day, pretty fun, had a good time. But because I played a lot of current stuff, I'm just gonna go in there and start playing fucking techno, fuck all the other shit. Because I guess if you play like normal stuff, sometimes it just gets all flipping. It's not even a copyright in terms of them taking AdSense, whatever, I don't care about that. It's just that sometimes if you play certain songs, they block your video. You can't even have your video seen. Like, I don't care about making money on the fucking mixes, you know what I mean? I'm hardly getting any views on them. It's not about that. It's just about fucking sharing my love of music. And then they fucking block them. So now I have to go through my whole entire video and select mute. So one day that mix actually does process, because it's taking a while to process. There's going to be sections in that mix that are going to be completely mute. And you're going to be wondering, what the fuck's going on? Well, because I had to flipping, get that thing cut out if I can keep the video. So it's really flipping annoying, but that's the kind of nature of the beast. But one thing I did realize when I was there, I had a lot of fun. It was really cool to kind of dance, have a sweat, hang around and whatnot. Have a little bit of a drink afterwards, because I don't really like to, get on it or have a drink when I'm streaming and stuff. It doesn't really make any sense. You can't really focus too well. So all of that energy you saw there was just me being powered by water and a Red Bull. I was absolutely turned up and having a good time. When I came back home, my whole entire jumper was covered in sweat. So I think that was a good thing. And then I think I read a report actually recently, from somebody, where they said like dancing and having your heart rate go at a certain level, really does help with your mood overall. and there's no surprise when I left there, I was flipping on fire. I was literally like tingling all over the place to the point where I didn't even jump in an Uber. I basically walked home because I was just so hyped and I just wanted to listen to music. So I was just walking home, listening to music like a fucking crackhead all the way home. So that was pretty good. So I'm going to be doing way more of those going forward. And then, of course, you know, trying to go to as many raves as possible, because I've also noticed that, you know, that's another part of my flipping weekly kind of schedule that I've not been keeping up with. And it's not even just to get on it, because I really do enjoy just going to parties and just standing in a corner like an old fart and just listening to people play and watching the fucking youngsters do their thing. It's quite nice to kind of see that sort of thing and just kind of be in a vibe. So I'm going to be doing more of that going forward, because that definitely put a smile on my face. So I'm definitely going to be start doing more of those things that put a smile on my face, because why not? Life is too flipping short. But of course, the mix, when it does process, I'll update all of you guys and let you know when it's processed and you can listen to it. But in the meantime, you should be hearing a lot more mixes from me going forward. You'll be hearing a lot more mixes from me going forward. First of all, before you continue on to the show, I want to quickly mention this because I forgot to mention this when this actually did happen. But RIP to Radical Softness. I wasn't really familiar with her work. I think I saw her play, or I saw them play, I think in like E1 one time. I think so. I think Radical Softness playing E1. This might have been like 2019. It might have been around then. I'm pretty sure it's a long time ago. But unfortunately, Radical Softness died, courtesy here of RA. So RIP to Radical Softness. You know, friends and family. I can't, you know, imagine what you guys are going through at the moment. It seems like the Berlin techno scene is having loss after loss after loss. I'm not too sure what the deal is there. But yeah, really do want to kind of extend my condolences out there to her family and friends. Let's read the actual article. It says DJ producer was a rising star in the Berlin's underground community. Radical Softness, real name Leah Rose Besson, has died at the age of 28. Zenzi, co-founder of Paris label Demeanor Records, announced the news via Instagram post today on February 15th. Besson's passing was confirmed by their mother, who commented on a post. No cause of death is as known. From what I've been able to surmise, again, it's not my business. I know it's a little bit kind of, you know, intrusive to do so, but from what I've been able to surmise, it looks like it could have been, you know, what you probably am imagining it could have been. Regardless of the circumstances and what caused it, doesn't really matter. It's just really sad to see somebody so young with so much potential, with so much promise ahead of them, being kind of taken away from us at this time. And like I said before, it just seems like the Berlin scene, or the scene in general, is just having loads and loads and loads of issues like this. So I really do hope there's people over there are kind of banding together and kind of supporting each other in these really hard times. It continues here. A resident of the Berlin party, Raw Matinique, is that how you say it? Raw Mantique, sorry, and Hamburg's Tilt Besson was a staunch advocate for self-expression, the establishment of safer spaces, and increasing the visibility of marginalized genders in the dance music. Co-founder of Flinter Party, Kylix, they first emerged on Berlin circuit in 2019 and quickly gained recognition of their hard, fast, emotive sound that explore techno, trance-infused melodies. Follow mixes for Bassayani's podcast series and regular appearances on Whore. Besson played at Resident Advisor Party at Trezor late last year. Jesus, man. So, you know, Radical Softness was definitely on the rise, because again, like I said, I'm pretty sure I remember seeing them play in E1. I think so. I forgot what the party was, but it was somewhere around that sort of time in 2019. A young artist was in the midst of the steadily growing career until their death, having played Munich's Rote Son, a club in Rotterdam's Poing club the previous 2 weekends. Last year, Besson traveled to Pakistan to play for the Groove Into the Void party in Karesh. Next month, they were meant to play alongside Dax J in Paris. Read some tributes to Besson in the Zinzi post below. And of course, you got some articles here with the mix and whatnot. So RIP to Radical Softness. An absolutely tragedy to see this. Again, I'm not too sure what's going over there in Berlin. I'm not too sure what's going over here in London, because we've had some issues too, but it seems like things are coming to a head. I'm not too sure if it's like a consequence of, like, you know, the lockdown and COVID and people coming out and just, you know, things are not going well. I'm not really too sure if it's just like in general maybe a substance thing. I'm not too sure if it's just the world and where we are in terms of, as you know, humanity and whatnot. But whatever it is, I think more than ever, people need to kind of band around, support each other, hug each other, and be there for each other, and just try to hold each other close, really, in these trying times, because it seems like we're all going through whatever we're going through silently, and you don't need to do that. You know what I mean? If you want to reach out to people, you can. I'm pretty sure they'll be willing and able to connect with you in that regard, because I feel like we all have our own issues in our own way, and we're all trying to manage as best as we can. So RIP to Radical Softness. RIP to Radical Softness, and my thoughts and feelings and prayers go out to their family, friends, and everybody else that kind of knew them. RIP, RIP. Moving on from that one, I quickly want to mention this courtesy of the New York Times. This is absolutely brilliant news because of my stand, them for fucking Kanye. It says Ye spends a second week at #1 with Vultures #1. The rapper known as Kanye West collaborative album with Dolla repeats at the top of the Billboard 200, narrowly defeating an LP from Yeet. So Kanye has now spent a second week as a #1 album on Billboard. This is really astonishing when you consider the first time he dropped, the album got pulled off. So they kind of missed loads of, streams and stats and whatnot, because for a couple of days, the album, or maybe a day, wasn't available on streaming platforms, so people had time to kind of catch up and rack up some numbers and whatnot. It got put back up again when he found a new distributor, and boom, it's been #1 2 weeks in a row, even though Yeet came out, even though I think Jennifer Lopez came out at the same time. Like, just crazy to think about that, right? Absolutely nuts when you think about everything he's kind of gone through. Quickly read the article courtesy of New York Times. It says, Ye, the rapper and provocateur formerly known as Kanye West, has a #1 rap album for the second week with Vultures #1, narrowly beating a new release from Oregon rapper Yeet. Vultures #1, a joint LP with the singer Dolla, holds the top of the spot at the Billboard 200 charts with the equivalent of 75,000 sales in the United States, including 95 million streams and 2,000 copies sold as a complete package, according to the tracking service Luminate. A year and a half ago, the always controversial Ye became radioactive in the music industry after a series of anti-Semitic remarks that left him without a major label record deal or a booking agent. Late last year, he apologized on social media posts written in Hebrew just days after giving a rambling rant that included accusations against Zionism and the Rothschilds. Do you understand how insane it is that he's #1 on the two weeks in a row? This guy lost everything. Some would argue rightfully so. Personally, me, I wouldn't say so. I think in general, there should be a class of people. This is my own personal opinion, right? There should be a class of people that should be allowed to say what the fuck they want. There's just people that exist nowadays, especially for the art they create, for the services they give to humanity, who should be able to just say what the fuck they want. It's just what comes with the territory of having a Ye. You can't get the Ye without the fucking running on stage and taking up the mic off from Taylor Swift. You don't get a Ye. You don't get niggas in Paris without him, saying George Bush doesn't care about black people. It's part of his personality. So if you want this guy to exist in culture, if you want him to provide us with great music, great shoes, great clothes, great listening experiences, great concerts, great films, controversy, it's just going to be part of the relationship we'd have with him. So people need to kind of just grow up and accept that as the case. Now, I understand it can be hurtful when a guy comes at you and says some things towards your community that you don't like, but I just think nowadays we just need to accept that more than likely, this guy does have a legitimate mental illness. More than likely. But he's managing it like the rest of us do, because I think we all have a version of a mental illness to different levels of severity. He's managing it the way he's managing it. He's refused to get help. He's refused to get medication. Clearly, if that's the case, let him rock. Let him rock. You know what I mean? I don't understand what all this kind of trying to get him muzzled, trying to put him on a leash thing. It's not going to work. I don't like it. It's not going to get anywhere. And when you do let him off the leash, look what he does. Not only is this album #2, like, forget the #1 thing. Just imagine doing this collaborative album with fucking Dolla, somebody who I think has been has kind of flattered to deceive. He's not really reached his potential. Similar to like Jeremiah, right? I think Dolla and Jeremiah were always in the same sort of like bracket in terms of like R&B singers who never really actualized their potential. My main criticism of Dolla was that his mixtapes were always incredible, right? He has this, I forgot what the name of it. I think it's like a plain, I forgot the name of it exactly, but he's got a mixtape series that's fucking phenomenal, Dolla. But whenever he put an album together, he'd always fall flat on his face. They were never cohesive. They didn't really make any sense. It didn't seem like he knew how to pick beats for himself. So he was all over the place, but you can tell natural talent, singing ability, melodies, writing. He's on another level. And then he gets together with Ye. He's able to kind of harness that fucking ability that he has, and then bang, they put collaborative albums together. And Dolla has never sounded so good. But if you're a fan of Dolla, you'll know he's always had his potential. He's always had the potential to be this great. He just needed somebody great to kind of direct him and push him in the right way. And Kanye, apart from being one of the best rappers in his generation, apart being one of the best artists in hip hop, flat out, point blank, he's definitely top 5. He's one of the greatest producers ever. People always say about how much he pushes people, how much he can bring something else out of you, how much like think of the Rich the Kid verse on Carnival. Think of the Rich the Kid verse on fucking Carnival. Who cares? Who's been caring about Rich the Kid in 2024? Who cared about Rich the Kid in 2023? Somehow Kanye was able to pluck that guy from obscurity and somehow extract that fucking verse out of him, and some other verses too in the fucking album. It's absolutely insane when you think about it. It's absolutely mental that he was able to extract that from fucking Rich the Kid, and it just goes to show the genius of fucking Kanye. It just goes to show, and I'm really excited for Vultures 2 and 3, even though I know they're gonna take a long time to drop. The fact that he was able to drop this off the back of Dolla, which I thought was absolutely hard, but obviously we didn't get to listen to it on major streaming platforms. Someone's really heard of it, but you know, especially when you consider this Vultures 1 doesn't have everybody, right? The song that kind of features the Backstreet Boy sample that didn't get cleared. There's a few other songs on there that didn't get cleared, and it's still doing these numbers. Come on, man, come on. Let's continue here. Now Ye is trying to make a comeback. It may be working. He released Vultures 1 independently and promoted the album with a pair of well-attended listening events at arenas in Chicago and Long Island. It's Ye's first album to spend more than a single week at #1 since Watch the Throne, a joint LP with Jay-Z, which logged 2 straight weeks in the summer of 2011. According to an estimate computed by Billboard, Vultures 1 earned about 1 million in its first week from sales streams in the United States alone. That's something that I really do give the guy credit for. The listening events, the listening parties. Something that doesn't really make any sense, because he does these listening events, he holds them in these massive arenas, right? These crazy lush venues. He has this incredible stage design that he has, where he essentially creates this amazing massive open wide space in the middle where he just gets to run around and do whatever he wants to do, right? With a projector that kind of shows his image up close so people can see him around 360 in the freaking arena. But there's no microphones and they still slap. Now, I personally prefer that. I'm not going to lie. I would prefer to see more artists just do those kind of like, almost like a club performance, where you're popping up at a club, you're doing an appearance, you're just sort of like, you know, you just kind of like, you're just lending your aura to the space. You're letting people kind of see your swag, see your crew, see how you fucking carry yourself. But there's no attempt to actually sing or rap, because most of these rappers, you know, they don't really perform well anyway live. So I'd rather not have you scream over your MP3 than just have you just, you know, swag, surf and shit, flex a bit, you know, just stunt a bit and do your thing. But what Ye does is really incredible, because it feels like a collective experience. It almost feels like, to lack of a better word, or lack of a better phrase, or lack of a better description, it almost feels like you're going to church. You're collectively all going to church. You're all singing along to the tunes. You're all vibing along to the tunes. You're all just having a good time. And you're getting to see the person that you know and love down there. You hope it's him anyway, because he's covered with a mask. But you get to see all the artists that you kind of know down there on the floor doing their thing also. I think that's the main way to go about it. And I think he has created something really special with that. And I wish we'd see more of it going forward, because I've long said that I really detest a lot of these rappers who go and perform and just scream over their MP3s. It's so disrespectful to the audience. I'd rather you just like play a playlist of your best tracks, and then just kind of jump around on stage and maybe just kind of like hype man along to your songs, but don't rap over them screaming over the MP3. It's really, 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 really horrible. It continues. Ye opens at #2 with 2093, his 4th studio album, which had the equivalent of 70,000 sales, including 79 million streams, 12,000 traditional sales. The album, which features guest appearances from Future and Lil Wayne, was helped by the release of the deluxe version, and one of them adding a track from Drake. Also this week, Morgan Wallen's One Thing at a Time is #3, and Noah Kahan's Stick Season is #4, and SZA's SOS is still at #5, even though it came out last year. Yo, SZA is powerful, isn't it? I didn't know she was that powerful. God damn it. But yeah, big up Ye. I think it's an incredible feat, especially when you consider his cancellation. He was dropped by everybody. Dropped by his label, dropped by Adidas, dropped by his management. Like, everybody dropped him. And to the point where he's 100% independent. So he must be racking up them streams, racking up the money. And it's incredible to see you can do that at his level. Now, of course, it helps that he's a legendary act. Cool, we get it. But still, it goes to show that if you buck against the system, if you do your own thing, if you bet on yourself, to lend a term from fucking Brendan Schaub, maybe if you have the talent, you have the fan base, you can make it. You don't need a system. You really don't need a system to kind of, you know, carry you along. So it's great to see. It is, I swear to God, one of the best things to see, and I'm so happy to see it. So big up Ye Big up, yay. Next thing to talk about here. I've been really surprised. I'm not going to lie. I've been super surprised to see the amount of people, the amount of raves, the amount of collectives that have completely boycotted E1 ever since Ravers for Palestine did this amazing post where they exposed that the founder of E1, right? The founder, one of the owners and founders of E1, was allegedly a member of the fucking Israeli Defense Force, to the point where he actually went to Gaza recently, fought in the flipping war, the genocide of the Palestinian people, came back and carried on like nothing fucking happened. So they was able to discover this, unlock this, expose this. Everybody went into a frenzy, and I literally thought it wasn't going to do anything. I'm not going to lie. I just assumed because we don't have many venues, because people in London are full of shit, because the scene is a bit political and all this malarkey, I just assumed people were just going to sweep under the rug and kind of turn a blind eye to it. Little did I know that I was completely incorrect. So many people have pulled away and stepped down from flipping playing at fucking E1, and one of the leading ones that I was surprised by, right, was obviously Freddy K and Club Verboten. They both have pulled away completely. And the Freddy K thing is a big deal because he was meant to play this event that I was actually meant to go to on the 23rd of March, and it's now been officially cancelled as a key vinyl event featuring Freddy K, D.Dan, Rebecca Della Piane, and Antonio De Iglesias, right? It's meant to be an incredible night. At first, I think it was billed as a Freddy K all-nighter. That obviously changed, but to get to see Freddy K and D.Dan play again will be incredible. But unfortunately, it's been cancelled because they've all collectively decided we're not going to support E1 because of what the founder did. So let's read what they said here, courtesy of Ravers for Palestine. So this is a post from them on Instagram. It says, Freddy K, D.Dan joined Club Verboten and others in publicly boycotting E1 in protest at its founder's alleged military involvement in Israeli genocide. We urge Teletech and other collectives to respect the boycott and withdraw their scheduled events. It continues, since revelations emerged about their founder, E1 has failed to take any accountability or take any steps toward remedying the trust. Now, one of the things they did try to do, they did publicly say the founder or the owner has stepped away, and the guy in charge now was, not involved in the Israeli Defense Force, even though he's Israeli. It's not involved in the thing at all. But people have obviously discovered that the guy had only stepped down from the role. He's still getting money from the club. The money from the club is still going to fund the war. So it got a bit sticky. So in general, because of their lack of clarity in what the situation is going forward with the management, people decided, we're going to cancel that club overall. And the biggest thing, I think they've really miscalculated E1. The biggest thing, people tolerated them because they don't have many options. Fold is one of our best clubs here, maybe the best club in the UK probably. And then we don't have any other things, that kind of come close. Maybe venue MOT, maybe Color Factory on some days, but there's not many options at that kind of level. But E1 was tolerated because as a club, it's fucking terrible. So I think they miscalculated it. They just assumed people would just kind of get over it and just join them anyway. But because the club was terrible anyway, people were looking for any excuse not to go there. And as soon as they found out the founder was a fucking member of the Israeli Defense Force, they were like, you know what? Sayonara. So it continues. As company house records have shown, Yuval Hen, that's the founder of E1, remained director and owner of E1 up until the 16th of February, the day after the allegations of his military service were published. And they obviously made it seem like he resigned in October when it happened obviously in February. It is therefore misleading to describe him as a previous owner and to imply that he had stepped away from it before traveling to Gaza. E1's new director, Oren Arush, is the club's co-founder and Yuval Hen's business partner. We do not accept that this appointment represents a change in the direction of ethos of the club, nor is it clear that Hen has been functionally removed from E1's operations. Under the current management, E1 is not safe space for ravers and DJs of Palestinian or Arab descent. We continue to call for a full boycott of E1 until meaningful addresses its complicity in a genocide. So it's pretty crazy to see this happening in real time, for all the big parties basically saying, hey, we're gonna not support you at all, and basically cripple the club at its knees. And without these parties, the club is absolutely nothing because it's not built on anything. It doesn't really have a community. The community that goes there are the ones that are obviously fans of the actual party. So they're actually at the mercy of these club promoters, these collectives, these crews, they're actually at their mercy, unfortunately for them. It continues, we urge collectives who still have events booked there, including Teletech, Glove Season, Bass Face, Parable, to respect the boycott and sever ties with this venue. And we call on DJs scheduled to play there to E1 to withdraw from their gigs. If financial pressures are preventing you from doing so, we can support you through our strike fund. Can you see what they're saying there? If you're missing out on money, don't worry, we're gonna support you. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really like how overly political the dance music scene is. Personally, I would much rather it be apolitical. I feel like political allegiances, no matter how dicey they are, shouldn't really factor into where you go and party and club. It's a bit stupid. But I do respect people who actually do stand on their shit, who do say, hey, you don't marry up with my politics, you don't marry up with my worldview, I'm not going to support you. People do stand on their shit when it comes to clubs. I do like that, especially even DJs. So that's a good thing. I see people kind of following through. There's not a lot of people that are kind of full of shit in the scene when it comes to that sort of stuff. So let's see this post here, courtesy of D.Dan, his Instagram stories, announcing, I guess, that he's not going to be playing at E1. He said, we urge to communicate that the key vinyl event at E1 on the 23rd of March is cancelled after the acknowledgement of Yuval Hen's involvement in the Palestinian genocide. He's one of the owners of the club, who has been serving the Israeli army in Gaza territory. We feel that this is the right decision, who was also respectively accepted by the E1 office. Pre-sale reimbursement tickets will be handled directly with the club via the pre-sale platform. You know how, just reading it aloud, you know how crazy that is, that there's a founder, an owner of a club in London who, you know, went to go fight in fucking Gaza. Do you know how insane that is? It's actually insane. I still don't have an idea or why specifically that one tiny country in comparison with other countries. Don't get me wrong, I know Israel is still a big place, but I really am confused why so many people involved in the dance music scene come from Israel in the first place. It can't just be the Jewish thing. I wonder what else it is about Israel in particular that has a huge concentration of people who are into electronic music, who are into dance music. Maybe they just got a popping club scene there that I'm not really too sure of, or I'm not too aware of, but it's absolutely fascinating. When you look across Europe, most of the big clubs, most of the big agencies, most of the big labels have an Israeli element to it. Like most of them have. So it's been really hard for a lot of them to kind of come out and be like free Palestine when, you know, they have family that live in fucking Tel Aviv and shit. Do you know what I mean? Or they have family that served in the IDF. It's really fucking crazy to see this play out in real time. It's honestly one of the most insane things I've seen in my life. It continues. Clever Burton also said the same thing. Following our recent developments, we've resolved to depart E1 and embark once more on the quest to secure space for our community. Come March, we'll be hosting events at different venues, though what lies beyond remains uncertain. Despite this transition, we remain committed to supporting our freelancer suppliers, blah, blah, blah. And then again, we've got one from the, what you call it? What they called again? From the Safe Unity, I think it's called, right? I think they were one of the people that were in charge of basically being the safety team inside of E1 and making sure people were dealt, you know, with some level of sensitivity and whatnot. They said the struggle for our liberation has many fronts. We are all in support of our friends at Club Verboten and recognize and appreciate the huge amount of work they've done protecting and advancing personal freedoms. We remain opposed to the state of Israel and its brutal occupation of Palestine and are committed to taking action to the end occupation however we can. Our actions here are continually evolving in co-creation with a safe-only team. This is core to our practice as a collective that exists to affect change across many different liberty fronts. In recognition of the joint struggle, we also committed to ensuring safe, intuitive working environments for our team. We believe that cancelling our work with E1 was the right thing to do given revelations of the owner. And then we continue here. We've got one post again from Sevens that says, yep, I'm disgusted by the news emerging about the owner at E1, blah, 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 blah. So again, like I said, it's just interesting to see everybody pull away. And then one of the most interesting ones I think personally to see was Teletech. Because I was surprised, because Teletech are like tech house heads, and you know, tech house heads, I love them, God bless those guys, but you wouldn't actually build them up to be the most, you know, no, sorry, you wouldn't build up, not Teletech, not tech house, my mistake, I take it back. They're obviously more on the hard dance kind of, you know, side of fucking techno, which is a little bit corny, a little bit lame, personally, in my personal opinion. And you wouldn't build them up to be like overly political or overly socially aware. It all kind of feels like a bit of a cash grab. But credit to them for severing ties with E1 too, because they had another big party also planned. So this is courtesy of Radical Palestine. It says Teletech severs ties with E1. The collective, which hosts some of UK's biggest techno party, which is very true. They're definitely smashing in the UK, and this is definitely true. They're UK wide. They're not just London specific. Which hosts some of the UK's biggest techno parties, has announced that all of its up-and-coming shows at E1 will be cancelled or rehoused. Every single one. God damn. They joined Club Verboten, Key Vinyl, and numerous leading DJs who've all withdrawn from E1 in recent days. It continues here. This is a post courtesy of Teletech's own Instagram page. We are aware of the situation surrounding E1. This Friday's show, all future shows are in the process of being rehoused, cancelled until we find a viable venue option to accommodate them. We had committed 10 plus shows between now and the end of the year. God damn. We update the full once we have further news. So E1 might actually be on its knees. I'm not going to lie, because losing Teletech's a big loss, because that's a big promoter, big collective, big party crew with obviously like their whole library full of DJs they kind of support, fans that kind of love them and shit, probably sell fucking merch at E1 that does probably numbers. So they're losing a lot of people coming through their doors on a weekly or weekend basis. So this is definitely going to sting. Definitely going to sting. So I would actually be surprised to see E1 survive the end of the year at this rate. If they don't come out and actually say, hey, the owners are all changing, we're all kind of doing different directions, we've got these people in charge, be very upfront and open about it, I don't actually see this club surviving the end of the year, because they've lost a lot of big names. This is a significant win for the ravers, DJ and collectives who helped generate build momentum around the boycott. The withdrawal of Teletech is the largest party associated with E1, is a massive blow to the club's bottom line and remaining credibility with the techno scene. We call on parties and DJs and events to book at E1 to follow Teletech's example and cut ties with this rapidly collapsing enterprise. Any artists financially affected by the boycott are welcome to apply and support through our strike fund. So big up again, big up Ravens of Palestine for standing on what they're standing on. E1, I think, could have dealt with this way better. They could have been way more transparent in order to kind of make sure that people know, hey, we're not doing this for that thing, we're going to do it in a different direction. But the fact that they haven't said anything, the fact that they haven't made things clear, I feel like speaks to their intention, speaks to their mindset, and maybe it's for the good that they're going to go down, to be honest, because they're not really in it for the right reasons. They're obviously not really understanding of their community that they've kind of by default kind of had in their club, because the parties they've had there, they wasn't really sensitive or understanding of it, and maybe this is kind of quote unquote their karma for it. I personally don't believe in like purposely going out people's business like this, but if you're, if you've got a founder that's legitimately responsible for killing people in a genocide, like all bets are off. You know what I mean? It bloody is what it is. So like, especially when you look at the number of deaths in fucking Gaza, like what, last time I checked, like over 30,000. Compare that to Israelis, I think it's like under 5,000. Like you can clearly see that, it's a bit of a one-sided, complete obliteration of people over there, to the point where you feel like they want to take out the entire place. So to have a owner of that club be associated with that mess, you can't come back from it. So it's probably not that big of a surprise to see what's happening in some cases, but I am surprised to see some of these raves, especially Teletech being a big one, be this kind of politically aware, socially aware, and kind of quote unquote do the right thing going forward. And most likely, I feel like it might actually improve its reputation with a lot of people. They might actually be like, you know what? I don't rate Teletech, I don't rate the raves, I don't rate the people that go there, I don't rate the DJs, but they stood on their business, they kind of backed people. They did it because they're losing our money too by not having these events. They stood up for the Palestinians in their own way. So big up them for doing what they're doing. And I guess we wait and see what's happening, but I'll be surprised to see E1 survive to the end of the year. I'll be absolutely shocked. It's not going to happen. Continuing on. There's this video of Fat Joe talking about the Trump shoes, right? That's really kind of doing my nutting. I'm really doing my nutting because I absolutely hate these Trump shoes. I think they're absolutely disgusting. I think they're awful. But for some reason, sneakerheads, especially in America, have like started to like cap and hype beats for this shoe. They're acting as if they're like really cool because they're limited edition, because they're gold, because they're I'm like, bruh, forget Trump and his views and him as a person. Just as a shoe, it's fucking ugly. It doesn't even look good. It's kind of stuck between looking like a Jordan, looking like a blazer. It's got weird paneling on it. The finishing and the quality of it is all over the place. They're terrible. And I also don't get the association with Trump wearing high tops because they're gold. I don't know. It's all over the place. It's a fucking mess. I think they look awful. Personally, my own personal opinion. But for some reason, sneakerheads in the US have kind of turned them into like a thing. Oh yeah, you need to get these. But I guess because they're just going for loads of money on eBay, or whatever they're going for like $5,000, whatever they're going for on there, because people are wanting to collect them because they're quote unquote limited edition. Personally, for me, I feel like this represents everything that's wrong with the sneaker industry. With people just being obsessed with buying stuff because it's limited edition. Like if it's limited edition, it automatically means it's better than anything else that you can purchase. And I personally don't agree with that. I think sneaker culture or being a sneakerhead isn't just about buying something that's limited. It's about being into shoes, whether they're limited or not limited. If anything, being into sneakers is actually trying to discover shoes that aren't cool and making them cool. That's why I remember when I got into it for. You kind of got into it to kind of do your own little thing with shoes, right? You bought a pair of shoes, you kind of freaked them in your own way, you made them kind of do their thing, and then people kind of jumped on it. I think that's the actual way to go about things. I think the way these guys go about things and try to make, and try to just jump on the bandwagon of shoes that are already hype is absolutely shit, and I fucking hate it. And if anything, again, it kind of re-emphasizes what these companies are doing, like Nike, like Adidas, where they purposely create these shoes, and give them, big up NJ Ranger.
Disgusting. Carl Withers dies and Donald does this.
big up NJ Ranger. Appreciate you, brother. Big up NJ Ranger. Appreciate you fully. Bear with me a second. I just need to, because I need to flip in, because I don't want to actually have any flipping notifications on today. I just want to kind of ramble through this right now, and then we can continue going on. So please bear with me 1 secundo while I just make sure all this stuff is done, and then we can continue, okay? Bear with me a sec, my friends. Bear with me a second. I think that's all done. There. People say Apollo Creed, lols. Yeah, I don't think I want Apollo Creed shoes. I've never ever wanted to wear flipping Apollo Creed shoes. I don't think anyone should wear Apollo Creed shoes. I think they're fucking horrible. I think they're flipping disgusting. But again, I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong. You get me? So let's continue this. So this is Fat Joe talking about the Trump shoes. I think he, again, is basically saying the complete opposite of what I would say when it comes to being a sneakerhead. And I think if anything, he represents some of the things I fucking hate about being a sneakerhead, where people are just buying shoes for the sake of them being limited. So let's hear from Fat Joe and hear his reasons behind hyping up these shitty, awful Trump sneakers, because I think they're absolutely garbage. But hear Fat Joe talk about them, right? I think they're terrible, but let's hear what Fat Joe has to say.
Why? If you collect art, do you really know what Basquiat was into? Do you know what Andy Warhol was into? Any of these artists that you was into? You love the art. So you get it. I guess they...
But that's the thing though, you don't love the art. You're not getting it because you love the art. You're getting it because they're limited. That's the thing that he's missing. You're not buying the Trump shoes because you love them. You're buying them because people hate Trump. You want to kind of be like, what's that thing called? You want to be a contrarian. They're going for a lot of money. They look fucking good. That's why you're buying them. You're not actually buying them because you like them. No one's buying these shoes because they like them. I refuse to believe that. They don't buy them because they like them. They're buying them because they're being hypebeast.
Separate art from the person. Now, me as a sneaker collector, I had to get my hand on the Trumps.
No, you don't have. That's the thing. You don't have to get anything. That's the thing that I despise about sneakerheads nowadays. They buy everything. Jordan Brand puts out a release calendar of mainly retros. A Jordan 1, a Jordan 2, a Jordan 3, a Jordan 4, a 5, a 6, a 7. In the same fucking shape, same materials, different colorways. Who cares? It's boring. You're not demanding anything more from your brands and these sportswear companies. So it's no surprise they overcharge you on these fucking Jordans, give you different colorways every year, and trick you into believing that, oh, this is limited edition. Bruh, maybe improve the shape. Maybe improve the materials. Maybe give me different designs. Maybe give me a story. Maybe do something special to make me want to fork out $200+ on these fucking shoes. Don't just keep selling me the same retro and telling me it's fucking different. It's like pissing in someone's mouth and telling them it's fucking orange juice. I fucking hate it.
Doesn't matter. Show us the trunks, please. Y'all trying to clout chase it. Y'all give me a trunk. Give me the trunk, man. Give me the trunk, man. They think I'm fronting. But listen, I have thousands and thousands and thousands pair of sneakers. When everybody flipped on Kanye, I went and bought the 2 most exclusive Kanyes ever. First of all, they got in the sneakers. Nah.
Congratulations. Like, again, being a sneakerhead isn't owning 1,000 sneakers. Being a sneakerhead is being into the stuff that you're into and just buying it. It doesn't matter if you've got 1, if you've got 10, if you've got 1,000. It's not really a competition about how many. Personally, I think this is more of an American thing anyway. I'm not going to lie. I think American sneakerheads are just obsessed with hype. I think European ones are probably more obsessed with, like, you know, vintage and trying to unearth gems and shit. But I just think in general, that attitude is definitely permeating its way into Europe too. I'm seeing a lot more people just being flat out hypebeasts. And the thing that I hate about it is that even though I used to work for hypebeast back in the day, right, when it first started, I was one of the first flipping bloggers and editors on there, I hated the term hypebeast. It's a derogatory term. Obviously, they've kind of embraced it and twisted it, but being a hypebeast is a derogatory term. It's meant to describe people who have no brain, who are sheep, right? I mean, who are brainless, who let the kind of brand tell them what to buy based on how limited it is, based on all the crazy materials, based on the lights, based on the colors. That's actually the term of it. It's not meant to be something that it's not a term of endearment. You're not meant to kind of use it as a badge of honor that you're a hypebeast. If anything, being a hypebeast is the same, like, you know, purpose. It's the same as like admitting that you copy how somebody dresses and stuff. That's gross. As a grown man, like wearing something that somebody else wears from head to toe because you don't have any mind of your own. Like, come on, bro.
Nah, I ain't doing all that. Just give me one of the sneakers. I'm not.
Just show them the box first, what it says.
Look at even the box. Look at even the box. Look at the box. Look at even the box. The box looks like you know, the box that you'd get a fucking Lego from or something, like, or like a set of China or something. It's horrible. The box isn't even luxurious. The shoes might look somewhat luxurious. Look at the box. Look how terrible. Look at the different fonts. Look at the colors. Look at the finish of the box. It looks terrible. That's a special shoe in your regard. It doesn't even come like in a wooden box or like something metal or like a fake gold bullion. That would be pretty cool, right? Imagine if the shoes were encased in a box that looked like a gold bullion, and when you opened it up, it kind of, you know, had LEDs on the inside. Okay, maybe that's a bit different. But you just give me this black cardboard box that says Trump. Like, come on, man. You got to do better.
Friends and family, there's only 50 of these.
Only 50, allegedly. Come on, bro. Do you believe that really? You think they only make 50 pairs of those fucking gaudy, horrible sneakers? Why only 50? Were the uppers made out of fucking fragments of fucking gold or something? I don't believe that. Come on.
Get my hands on them. Once again, I'm not a Trumper. I dislike Trump. I'm not voting for him. Not now, not never. But I'm a sneaker collector into the art, so I had to find these.
You know what? It's actually better if you buy them because you're a Trumper. Buying these shoes because you like Trump actually makes more sense than buying them because you think they look nice. Because they don't look nice. You can't tell me these shoes look nice. They're fucking ugly. But if you're an actual Trumper, if you're a MAGA person, cool, buy them. It's going to join your collection of hats. That actually makes more sense. If you actually like Trump like that, that makes more sense. Like, you buy all his memorabilia. You buy his fucking hats. You buy his hoodies. You buy his fucking mugs. Cool. More power to you. But trying to kid yourself into believing that you bought these shoes because they're good looking is fucking insane. And is one of the main reasons why modern day sneaker culture or being a sneakerhead is so lame now, because people don't have a brain of their own and they have horrible taste, horrendous taste, especially guys like Joe, what's his name? Fat Joe. The guys with all the money in the world, all the access, they have the worst taste. Have you seen fucking DJ Khaled's collection of shoes? You seen how horrible it is? Because you have too much access, too much money. You don't really have any discernible taste. There's nothing you can't buy, so you buy it all. As long as it's gaudy and horrible looking, covered in python and leather and cowhide and camo, whatever it may be, and splattered in fucking rainbow colors. Oh, it's only 2 are made. You fucking buy them. It's fucking awful. It reminds me of the time when I used to work in Selfridges and shit. And they'd always say, whenever Middle Eastern, you know, rich Middle Eastern people were coming to Selfridges, they would always say sometimes, or if there's a bag in the back that hasn't sold, bring it out in this plastic wrapping and lie to the person and say, oh, this is the last one ever made. They don't make them usually this material, but usually it's because it's the one that hasn't sold. It'll be like a bag in like an avocado green, a burnt orange or something, and you bring it out and you're like, oh yeah, this bag is limited, and they'll buy it just because you say it's limited. That was what people would do back in the day. So I don't know if it's a tactic nowadays, but when I used to work in Selfridges, that was a practice. And I feel like these guys are the same Muppets that do the same thing. Someone tells them, hey, this is only 10 of these made. No evidence, no nothing. Just sell it to you and you're fucking buying it. I hate it.
Now the mayor's gonna call me. Everybody's gonna call me and say, you wilding out, Joe. Why you got the trunk? Look, mayor's the first one. Joe,
they're horrible.
I'm a sneaker collector.
They're shit.
I don't know what none of these guys did. I collect sneakers. The rarer, the better.
Okay, so at least he's admitting it. Let's go back there. So at least he's admitting it.
I collect sneakers. The rarer, the better.
That's not true. Just because your shoe is limited edition, it doesn't mean it's good. I'm sorry. There's many limited edition shoes that have come out that are terrible. Case in point, the Tiffany Air Force Ones. Horrendous collaboration. Waste of time. That Tiffany Air Force One was the direct representation or example of why nepotism is bad, because the founder of fucking LVMH, his son is the CEO of fucking Tiffany's, right? Not because of their skill, not because of their talent or anything, just because they're the son of this guy. They get to fucking design these Air Force Ones, and they probably was one of the worst ones I've seen in my life. Like, especially when you think about the collaboration, Tiffany, Air Force, Nike. You think of all the history behind diamonds. You think of the history of the Air Force Ones and what they represent to fucking street culture, and the fact that they looked at it as a quasi luxury shoe. You can imagine so many interesting possibilities of what that Tiffany Air Force One would look like. Then it eventually comes out, and it's just a black Air Force One with a Tiffany swoosh. You're like, what the fuck is this? This is fucking horrible. So that goes to show you that sometimes limited edition shoes, just because they're limited edition, don't make them good. So he's talking out of his ass.
No, I didn't pay for these sneakers.
If you didn't pay for them, can you actually call yourself a collector then? Can you talk with any kind of bass in your voice if you don't pay for anything? So you get everything given to you for free. You're saying you're being proud that it's like a limited edition shoe, but you didn't pay for it, and you have no evidence that it's limited edition anyway. They're just saying it is.
Sorry, I didn't pay for these sneakers. They knew I had to have them because I'm the biggest in the game.
Anyway, you get the gist. I fucking hate them. I think they look garbage. I don't understand the hype. I really don't. But again, it goes to show that modern day sneaker culture is nothing but a hype beast fucking festival anyway. It's nothing but a hype beast festival anyway. It is what it is. Moving on from that one, we got some interesting words here courtesy of Kanye regarding Yeezys. So Kanye's been going a bit of a rampage regarding Yeezys because at the moment Adidas is putting out a bunch of Yeezy stock without the Yeezy branding on them in different types of colorways. He's obviously not happy about it, and he made a post on his Instagram basically calling out Adidas. He's since deleted it. Actually, funny enough, he's deleted the actual post, so you can't actually see it, but I do have the tweet here where somebody took a screenshot of what he said. So he posted an update picture of the Yeezy that's coming out soon. It hasn't got any Yeezy branding on it. It's just a different colorway that they're putting out of the remaining stock, I guess, with no Yeezy branding. And Kanye kind of went off on it. The interesting caveat to kind of mention here is that going forward, somebody actually made a post on Twitter I saw that Adidas are changing the way that they do confirmed drops with Yeezy stuff. So before in the past, you would enter a raffle, similar to what you do with sneakers. And when you won the raffle, Adidas will charge you. Now, I guess to combat bots, allegedly, but I think more to secure money, because they probably got loads of this stuff available now, more so than Yeezy stuff, because I'm sure the Yeezy stuff that was done officially was done in way more, was done in a lower quantity of numbers, as opposed to the stuff they're doing now. So they're probably churning out more. But now they've changed the process. Now, when you try to buy a pair of Yeezys through the confirmed app, they will debit your account of whatever the value is. Then if you win it, they'll put it in hold, and if you win it, the money will go to Adidas, and if you don't, it'll get refunded to you in 14 days. So they kind of charge you up front, and regardless if you're gonna win or not, you have to wait when you win. So they kind of change the process all around it. And I think that obviously has to do with Kanye not being there, and they wanted to sell way more Adidas's, sorry, way more unofficial Yeezys. So Kanye posted this on his Instagram before, and this is the caption. It says, anybody who loves Ye would not buy these fake Yeezys. I never made these colorways. I'm not getting paid off of them, and Adidas is suing me. All of these celebrities, the public will stand against a t-shirt or a color of my hat, but when y'all see me and my children hidden from me, or when you see an actual Fortune 500 company rape one of your heroes in real life, don't nobody say nothing or do nothing. As far as the system goes, what y'all gonna do now? Take my album down again, freeze my accounts again, threaten people to not work for me again? All of these non-approved 350s are corny, and everybody knows 350s been corny, which is funny, right? Like, he made the shoe himself, he designed them, but even he knew wearing 350s was lame, which is funny, right? Because I never wore 350s, not because I thought they were lame, but because my feet are too fat. They just don't look good in my feet. I think 350s look good if you've got a skinnier foot, if you've got a short foot. If you've got a foot like mine that's wide, you wear fucking 700s, you wear Yeezy boots, you know, there's plenty of other shoes that you can wear within the Yeezy arsenal, but you don't wear 350s because, you know, that sock fucking thing, it kind of gives, you know, it gives everybody every view of all your toes wiggling in and around there. So Ye basically is saying that Adidas are suing him allegedly millions of dollars, because I think they're alleging that he misused marketing funds and kind of pocketed them all, and his kind of clapback is like, I am the marketing, like, which kind of makes a lot of sense in that regard. But in my personal opinion, I think it's twofold. I think it's unfair of Ye to demand his fans not to buy these shoes if they're fans of his. He's the one that signed the deal with Adidas. He knew exactly what he was getting himself into. He knew the business. He knew they were going to have control of his IP. He knew there were going to be snakes. Like, he had to have known. He's way too knowledgeable. He's way too old. He's way too experienced in the industry not to have known that the deal would be a bit of a fuck over. But what I thought he would have been okay with was, even though they were most likely going to fuck him down the line, is it would increase his net worth. It would give him access to money that he could have probably never attained in that short period of time, because people always said when it comes to his net worth, most of the increase came because of the Adidas sales. Because if I'm not mistaken, there was a fucking crazy stat when he was still at Adidas that said, like, you know, Yeezy accounted for like over 30% of the overall Adidas sales, right, when it came to what they were doing. So even though Yeezy was not around that long, Adidas has obviously been around way longer, they still accounted for up to 30% of the sales, something crazy. So I think he should have been okay with, hey, they're gonna fuck you down the road, but you're gonna get all this money, you're also gonna get all this experience, you're gonna get access to all these fucking cat factories, you're gonna be able to put your work out on the biggest fucking level, and then you can kind of move on from there. But it seems like, you know, when it comes to Ye, he wants everything. He wants the ability to work with these big companies, say what he wants, do what he wants, and have them always kind of do things within his favor, which I think is a bit unfair. Personally, for me, I think that shit's a bit unfair. But the really crazy thing about this situation is this story, which I've just seen on social as well, which is kind of blowing my mind, right? This is the crazy story. So this story was published last year and didn't really get much attention. Look at the fucking headline. Ye's contract with Adidas prevented him from getting long-term mental health treatment. I repeat, Ye's contract with Adidas prevented him from getting long-term mental health treatment, which kind of completely skewers what's going on, because this is really fucking crazy. So let's read the actual article and what it says, the quote that's really concerning. But another termination clause Adidas added was not typical. 30 consecutive days of mental health or substance abuse treatment. In other words, if Ye spent a month receiving care or for significant aspects of his health and well-being, he could be forced to give up significant piece of what was then his greatest shoe empire of the modern era. He could literally lose billions. So Adidas put in a clause in his contract that meant if he got help for all the issues that he was having, that people were clearly saying, hey, he's got issues, something's wrong with him, he would be in danger of losing everything. It would put all the control into Adidas's hands, because I guess they could say he's not within his capacity to make decisions, blah, 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 blah. Can you imagine how crazy this is? So essentially, Adidas are the ones that pushed him to the point of crazy, to the point where he went on his anti-Semitic fucking world tour, where he went on to talk about Hitler, and he went on to kind of dispute the Holocaust. He went on to fucking, you know, insult Jews. In a way, Adidas are the ones that propagated that, are the ones that encouraged it, are the ones that kind of pushed him to that kind of end. Because they put the clause in the contract that if he tried to receive help for a consecutive number of days, it would maybe show that he's not in sound mind. Do you understand how crazy that is in business? So as much as I disagree with Kanye's opinions when it comes to business, and I feel like sometimes he does manipulate his fans in a way. He does kind of gaslight his fans, because I feel like sometimes he can be a little bit annoying because he makes it seem like his problems business wise should be our problems. Like, you should deal with it. Why are you asking us? Like, you don't share your money with us. Why is now suddenly we have to fucking help you in your business decisions or help you with custody of your kids? It's really strange. But I sometimes understand why he's paranoid, why he kind of has all these fucking fears in his head, because some of the shit he goes through business-wise is absolutely insane. Imagine putting that clause into someone's contract. Imagine that being a clause in someone's contract that if they receive help for the condition that they have that's making them say all these crazy things, that it's going to absolutely destroy their ability to make money and absolutely take away the one thing that's actually allowing them to kind of have generational wealth and kind of take themselves out of a situation they're in. Imagine how fucking crazy that is. So I definitely understand why he was going as mad as he was. Now, he did actually vocalize all these things, so let's actually hear from Kanye himself and hear what he has to say about the whole situation. One thing I love about this clip is that he's obviously saying this in a hotel lobby or a restaurant somewhere while he's waiting for his food, but I also love the fact that he's got this really amazing lisp now. Because he has these fucking crazy titanium teeth in his mouth, he now has this crazy lisp that is super funny. Listen to him speak.
Let me explain really clear to you guys what's happening with Adidas. Is not only are they putting out fake colorways that are non-approved, they're suing me for $250 million, and they're also not paying me for these shoes that they're putting out that have my name on it. And they're using contract clauses and 50 years of business experience to rape an artist, one of y'all favorite artists, right in front of y'all in broad daylight. Let me explain really...
Crazy, right? Crazy that he said that they're raping him. I guess that's why he had to change the caption. But again, I guess we have to wait and see how this kind of pans out. I don't think Adidas are going to drop the case. I think Kanye's within his rights to say what he's saying. He's trying to maybe publicly shame them into doing the right thing. But I think these big corporations are not going to drop these type of capes lightly because there's a lot of money on the line. And I think, unfortunately for Ye, I personally think he just annoyed too many people, bro. I think he's just a nightmare to deal with. Much as I love the guy, as a human being, he must be an absolute nightmare to deal with. Like, I still kind of shudder at the thought when I remember that clip of him showing those Adidas executives the video, the porn video, and saying, one of the guys looks like the guy that works there, and kind of showing them full fucking porn on his phone. And them looking at him like, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, he's just such a mad guy. He's so inappropriate. He's such a combative, like, confrontational dude. He doesn't have any kind of tact when it comes to business. That's probably why him and Virgil probably had a lot of like issues when they were coming up, because Virgil was like the consummate kind of pro when it comes to dealing with corporations and brands and C-suite people. Yeah, he just has no ability to deal with those people at all. So maybe it's for the best that he's independent. But I think a lot of the vitriol, I think a lot of the scamming, I think a lot of the pressure that Adidas are putting him in the courts is because they just don't like him as a person. They want to bury him because of the things that he said and did while he was there, bringing the company to disrepute and shit. So I just think he has to kind of swallow that one. Unfortunately, I think that's the kind of price that you pay when you're Ye. You're gonna rattle some people and you're gonna make them really get, really kind of have their fucking fangs out for you. And when I think about one of the really interesting parts of the story when he kind of left Adidas, when he got booted from Adidas, if I remember correctly, he was going at some woman. Some woman that was a board member at Adidas or something. And this lady happened to also be the person that was a board member, I think, at Chase Bank or one of those banks that Ye was banking with. And that led to his accounts being frozen. Can you imagine that? He's having some beef with Adidas executives. He's arguing with these C-suite people, these boardroom people. He's naming and shaming this woman. And this woman obviously had the power to fucking freeze his bank accounts. Like millions and millions, he lost fucking access to for a period of time, and maybe he doesn't have access to it now. So it's fucking crazy to see, like, sometimes in the corporate world, like, you have to be careful who you piss off because they can legitimately ruin your life. Anyway, the article writer here, just to end, gave a little follow-up in terms of people asking, hey, why didn't this go viral at the time? And I thought his representation or interpretation of events was really interesting. The writer of the article originally said, well, the core piece of information was something I excerpt from a much larger report in the New York Times that filled with both previously reported new details from the years of Yeezy business. Significant details often get lost to readers in such large pieces. There's just too much information. Quite a few people read my piece when it was hit, and many responded shocked, but it certainly didn't reach mainstream traction. I think that's unfortunate because regardless of the public views on Ye today, this clause was written in a contract preceding most controversy. Exactly. That's the thing that people don't get. That clause they put into his contract was before he said all those anti-Semitic things. So it's almost as if they were preempting. They were hoping that he had a breakdown, had a breakthrough, went crazy, so that they could take away his IP, so they could take away all the ownership and obviously keep all the money for themselves. It's absolutely crazy how they did put that clause in there. And it's crazy to think that you can actually do that. You know what I mean? It's fucking wild. I think that's unfortunate because regardless of public views on Ye today, this clause is written in contract preceding most controversy. In that way, it's not even a Ye story to me, but a snapshot of how Black creator could be set up to fail and lose billions. That much would have been clear to everyone setting up the contract going in. And this obviously leads me on to the point that I saw recently somebody made. I think it was flipping Stephen A. Smith. And he was just, I think because he made a point about like how Pat McAfee, like there can never be a black Pat McAfee, and I do agree with him. Even in the UK and Europe, I think it's the same. I think unfortunately, like immigrants or minorities just get dealt with in a different way when it comes to business, which is why we need probably way more help and assistance when we do enter into those kind of boardrooms, and why the margin for error for us is so much smaller. Really is fucking smaller. They just don't put up with the mess when it comes to us, and they kind of manipulate, cheat, whatever it may be. So you really have to kind of mind your P's and Q's, not be super agreeable, not obviously lick ass, but just be aware of your surroundings, because if they find an opportunity to fuck you over, they will fuck you over. That much is true. That much is true. Continuing on from this, I want to quickly mention the devastating and quite embarrassing loss Man United suffered at the hands of Fulham the other weekend, because I didn't mention it before because I'm still flipping depressed about it. Man United won, Fulham 2 at home, and if anything, if you watched the game, you would have known Fulham could have won by far more. If they had their shooting boots on, if they had somebody more clinical up front, if we didn't have Onana pulling off some pretty decent saves and some pretty decent clearances from the line, they could have probably easily won this game 4 or 5-1. It was absolutely embarrassing, especially when you can consider the spaces around the pitch. I think Jamie Carragher mentioned it recently, actually. The spaces around the field in our team, the lack of organization, the lack of structure is such a reflection on Erik ten Hag, the manager. And one of the things that I've been really perplexed about, I'm okay with United being terrible because we've been terrible for a long time. I feel like we're a club that basically hemorrhages money. We pay too much money in salaries. We're just, we're always going for kind of Galactico players. That's obviously hampering us. We've got, we've still got players from other managers and regimes still at the club. We don't have football people there. We're kind of trying to change it now with the minority ownership of Jim Ratcliffe. All these issues going along. But one thing that I've kind of always hoped for in the short term is that we get a coach the players that we do have, and we just play some good football. Along the way, might sign some good players, and then little by little, we can improve. But in the interim, let's just play some good football. Let's just have entertaining matches. Let's just have high scoring matches. Let's just have, a spectacle for the fans to fucking see, because we're not going to win the trophy anytime soon. So when we hire Erik ten Hag for his work previously at Ajax, none of us are naive enough, I don't think so, to believe that he's going to take what he did at Ajax and copy and paste it at United. Obviously the Ajax system, the Ajax way, the academy, the way they buy players, the culture around the club is completely different. But the way they played football was a very specific way they played. I recently watched an old game of Ajax versus Real Madrid at Champions League when they're away from home. Superb, one touch, two touch football, right? All these technical players on the ball. And you just assumed if Erik ten Hag is coming to United, he's going to want a certain type of player. He's going to want to play a certain type of way. He didn't. And that's why I've said from the beginning that I think Erik ten Hag is the greatest managerial catfish of all time, because he sold us a dream that he was going to play a particular type brand of football. Then he came to United and he completely abandoned it. And now we're like gung-ho. Now we're playing this like counter-attacking football, this fast front foot thing that we're not really good at. We don't really pressure teams off the ball. We don't really pass well. We don't keep the ball well. We're not really good at long balls. We're not good at crosses, even though we got fucking, Hoyland playing there when he's not injured. It's all over the place. And the worst thing for me is the organization on the pitch. We don't look like a team that trains in certain shapes. We don't look like a team that trains with certain tactics in mind. It just looks like we go out there and we kind of quote unquote freestyle it. Certain players get the ball and it kind of triggers a run, a movement. You know, maybe Bruno Fernandes gets it deep and pops it over the front, over the top, and people just run onto it. It doesn't feel like there's any method to our madness, and that's the most annoying thing about the Erik ten Hag tenure. It's just there's no method to the madness. Nothing seems like it's going anywhere anytime soon. He spoke about the players coming back from injury that was going to change things. It didn't. Even the run of games that we went on, which we won, if you're watching those games, you would have known that a lot of those results flat to deceive. A lot of those results were, I wouldn't say unearned, but they weren't reflective of the actual game. So it's been absolutely terrible from minute one, and I wasn't surprised to see us lose the way we did against Fulham. Even though it was a last minute win, I still think they were more than deserving of that victory. The odd thing to come from it has been the back and forth between Jamie Carragher and Erik ten Hag, because Jamie Carragher went on a pretty detailed, scathing rebuttal and breakdown of United's, shape and defense and lack thereof, and he called it out really well. And now Erik ten Hag is firing back and essentially saying, "No, you're wrong. We do play a certain brand of football." He's just overly critical. I'm like, bruh, are you not understanding what the fuck is going on? And part of me now is starting to believe maybe Erik ten Hag wants to get fired. Maybe he doesn't actually want to be here. Maybe he's doing all these things in the hope that he gets fired and he gets a big payout. Maybe that's what's actually going on, because I can't understand how his brain can't see what we're seeing and can't understand why we're getting the criticism we're getting. Even from the own fans, it's fucking delusional. But let's actually see what he actually said. Courtesy of Sky Sports News. Erik ten Hag has hit back at Jamie Carragher's subjective analysis on United. United's 4-game winning run in the Premier League ended on Saturday with a 2-1 home defeat to Fulham. Sky Sports highlighted why recent results have masked the problems with Erik ten Hag's system. That's true. We've said that. Myself as a fan, I've said that on fucking Twitter spaces, on Twitter itself, on forums, on Reddit. I've said it myself as a fan. We've all been saying it. The results have masked our performances. Just because we're winning doesn't mean we're playing well, but people didn't want to listen to it, especially with the top reds and all the fucking Erik ten Hag inners. I fucking hate them, Mark Gorbridge included. Continues. But Erik ten Hag fired back at Carragher's analysis ahead of the FA Cup 5th round game against Nottingham Forest on Wednesday, saying, "Some analysts are objective in their comments. Very good advices, some are very subjective. Jamie Carragher is one of them. For the first moment he is criticising, and now he wants to make his point. In the first half an hour against Fulham, we had a point. He had a point. Fulham surprised us with their midfield setup, and we had to find a solution. We did find it after half an hour." That's not true. We played well for maybe 10 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes we played well for. We didn't find solutions. They just sat back and waited for us to fucking lose the ball, and then they obviously countered. They absolutely tore us apart, to be honest. They tore us apart and probably should have won by far more. It continues. "I wasn't pleased with the defensive performance." Again, reflection on you. "Especially down on the left side. Again, it's on you because the team shape isn't where it should be. And that's everything to do with willingness, spirit, and passion. That was good in previous weeks, therefore we won football games." See, again, lack of accountability and just everyone else's fault but his. Footballers are not robots. Sometimes they have bad days. It was unacceptable and we have to do better tomorrow. The FA Cup represents the last realistic chance of silverware for United. He says, "We are unbeaten in these statistics, who gives a fuck? We are unbeaten in January and February. We lost one game. It was a poor performance and defeat. We are aware. We want to stay in every competition. We have to win tomorrow. It doesn't change our approach. That is for every game. I know the future, but I look at today. We work on a team development and try to win every game." Personally, for me, I can't wait until he's fired. I'm not going to lie. I'm actively rooting for him to be fired, but I would much prefer that he actually suffer this entire season with us. I don't want him to go now and we have an interim coach. I don't want all that sort of uncertainty. It's not necessary. I want the players and him to suffer until the end of the season, because they've made us suffer this whole season. We played terribly. We've been knocked out of most fucking cups. We're not going to probably qualify for the Champions League this season, and it's all over. Cool. You have to suffer with us too. So I hope that happens, but in the end, I feel most likely Ineos have already made a decision of who they want, because the writing was on the wall for him the moment the new owners come in anyway. Even if it was going to be the Qatari-based company buying the whole club outright, whether it was Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I think that writing was always on the wall. Whenever new ownership come in, they always want their own people. They want their own managers, own coaches. They want their own people. It is what it is. So I think he would have known that unless he won stuff, unless we were playing good football, unless we were finishing the top four, it all but guaranteed he's going to be told to kind of leave, in my personal opinion. I think it'll be good because legit, he's been one of the most biggest disappointments when it comes to a coach, because I didn't expect him to come in and help us win the league, win the Champions League. I honestly wasn't thinking that. I just thought he was going to come in, he's going to give us a, have us playing good football, have us build a good foundation from that and go from there. But that never happened. And to be honest, he deserves every fucking criticism he gets, especially the players. I want them all gone too this summer, by the way. But I think his lack of understanding of what's happening, this refusal to adapt his refusal to implement his own style of play into the players and just adapt to them has also been concerning. His faith in certain players, his refusal to identify who the good players are and play, like, it's all over the place. I fucking hate it, but I hope he has to suffer for the rest of the season, because we have suffered too. Moving on, we've got this really cool article courtesy of The Guardian regarding looksmaxxing, which I thought was absolutely hilarious, because this has been something that I've kind of like got into myself in the last few years, and something that I've kind of been aware of because of 4chan and shit from back in the day. But it's quite funny to see this stuff like permeating through popular culture and becoming like a mainstream thing. So this is courtesy of The Guardian. It says, from bone smashing to chin extensions, how looksmaxxing is reshaping young men's faces. Let's continue. For James, it started with muscles. He was about 16 and had become self-conscious about his physique. Fearing that he wasn't buff enough to attract girls, he found his way to a bodybuilding forum and began to work out. That's the same journey for me. If you know about back in the day when the PUA community wasn't as toxic as it was towards the end, and you read the game and shit, the first platforms that kind of spoke about, self-improvement, that spoke about girls, that spoke about gym work, all this sort of stuff, right, was bodybuilding forum. That was the OG place that you would go, and then from there you might actually go on, Real Social Dynamics, all these other places. But the bodybuilding forum back in the day, I was on that bitch for a long time. They weren't visitors from another online community. Their general vibe was quite mean, he says, who prefers not to use his real name. They take images of people who have posted on their improvement, impressive physiques, and they'd be like, you guys forgot to work out on your faces. Despite the meanness, curiosity pushed James over the forums, which were largely focused on facial aesthetics. He discovered a new world in which mainly young men and teenage boys scoured pictures of each other for perceived flaws and purported fixes. The forums hummed with brutal judgments and offered James a compelling new outlet for his insecurities. I was learning about problems that I hadn't even noticed. I had a short face, I had a short chin, my nose was too wide, my eyes were too far apart, my hairline was too high. You don't see a lot of these things until somebody points them out, and then you just can't stop seeing them. So I love all these things, because I've always said that part of the unfair side of like dating and relationships and shit, whatever it may be, is that there is just a big difference in terms of the way women can glow up and the way men can, because women have makeup. We don't. There's no way we can structurally improve our face, or no, there's no way we can visually improve our face without improving it with some sort of surgery. Because women have the ability to literally paint their face new. They can paint a new face on top of their face to accentuate things that they have, accentuate things they don't even have, and completely transform them from like sometimes a 0 to a 9. But men don't have that. The closest thing we have to like makeup is a beard. And even that, sometimes if your face isn't right, it doesn't matter if you got a beard, right? So it's just one of those things. So I feel like looksmaxxing was such a great thing, because it allowed men to kind of get to that level of makeup, because it kind of got into like skincare routines, facial massaging routines, diet, working out things that would improve how your face just was put together, and sometimes even styling tips that are really kind of different and kind of give it a little leg up when it came to improving your looks for the opposite sex or the same sex. It continues. James had become hooked on looksmaxxing, an online community of people seeking enhancing to their face. He began to learn a strange code members use to compare characteristics. IPDs, interpupillary distances, the gap between the eyes, the canthal tilt, the angles of the eyes, mewing, a tongue exercise that supposedly improves the shape of your jaw, and the ultimate goal is to improve your SMV, sexual market value. Now, to be fair, if this picture is legit, he did a good job. If this picture on the screen that I'm seeing now is legit, he did a good job. On the left, I guess it's the guy before he got into looksmaxxing, and on the right, this is him with looksmaxxing. You can tell he's got an improved haircut. You can tell he's kind of trimmed his eyebrows. You can tell he's done a good skincare routine. The plumpness of his lips has improved. He's got a more defined jawline. He's got a good little trimmed beard going on. You could tell from his shoulders, his lats. He's got, what do you call it? He's got some good gym routine going on there. So all these things have definitely kind of improved the way he looks, his confidence with people, and obviously just his ability to attract certain people as well. So that's obviously what I love to see here. It continues. Looksmaxxing has existed for at least a decade, but has exploded in recent months from obscure forums and Reddit pages into mainstream social media and TikTok in particular. Impossibly chiseled jaws, pouty lips, and cheekbones as high as Egyptian pyramids are prized, along with hunter eyes, those angles slightly towards the nose, and a positive canthal tilt. Looksmaxxing influencers have gained huge followings, while algorithms promote videos watched by millions. Models such as Jordan Barrett and Francisco Lapchowski have become pinups. The trend have prompted bewilderment among parents and teachers concerned that young people are finding yet more reasons to feel bad about themselves. I don't think it's that. I just think it's a lack of honesty about how much those things actually help. Because I think when I was growing up, especially when I was having trouble kind of attracting girls and shit, I always had this confused opinion that it was always about how you looked. It obviously did matter, but it was mostly based on your confidence in yourself. But it's hard to have confidence in yourself if you're not happy with what you see in the mirror. And I think it's kind of like a fine line. You can't get too into it and too obsessed with it, but it is important to feel good inside and on the outside so that you can then be your best self when you step out and you try to approach people in a sexual way, in a relationship way, whatever it may be. This is super important, especially for men. I think so personally for myself, that's the issue that I had. But again, other people could be different. It's not clear how far mainstream looksmaxxing has moved away from the roots in the online incel, involuntary celibate communities. In these spaces, men blame women and feminism for their romantic failings. They're retreating to a world in which they pursue their own masculine ideals, ideally acquiring ripped bodies, in the case looksmaxxers, strong jaws, and hunter eyes. This is where I hate these kind of platforms, right? Because they're now saying that looksmaxxing is a part of incels. It's not. If anything, it's the opposite. Incel community are losers who kind of, denigrate women and blame them for all their fucking, ills in life. Whereas the looksmaxxers take responsibility for their shortcomings and try to improve them to make themselves a more viable mate, partner, interest for somebody else. That's what they actually do. They talk about how to improve the way you speak, how to improve your listening ability, your charisma, like everything, your hygiene, whatever. It's all flipping encapsulated in looksmaxxing. So to kind of attribute it or link it to incel community is absolutely ridiculous, especially if you've been into it as long as I have, or if you've just been aware to it, you'll know this is the case. So people do this all the time. It's fucking stupid. It continues. The vast majority of the groups that we work with are now aware of looksmaxxing, says Mike Nicholson, a teacher who runs a workshop program school called The Progressive Masculinity. He's talking to me a day after a report by researchers at the University of College of London. The University of Kent found that TikTok algorithms amplify misogynistic content. All right. Helping to normalize in playgrounds. In response, TikTok said it removed misogynistic content, which it prohibits, and questioned the report's methodology. We come at this from a very sympathetic point of view, said Nicholson, but the world that these young men and boys are inhabiting is one that is trying to increase their anxieties and potentially lead them down a path that, if you're not careful, can lead to an incel ideology. Not really. It's not true at all. If anything, I've always believed that there should be more encouragement of men actually trying to improve themselves and approach women, quote unquote, in public, as opposed to fucking turning them into these fucking incel bedroom guys. I think it's actually important to like have these things out there in the public and encourage, because it makes men more of a it just improves them, makes them more of a viable mate, makes them more of an appealing person. It makes them a better person overall, as opposed to the other side of things. The online dating thing, I think, has always been a bit of a ruse anyway. I think this kind of emphasis on actually improving yourself on the outside and the inside, is definitely going to be better for humanity and society overall. But again, what do I know? James was in his 20s and works in finance in the UK, started on the forums and looksmaxxing in 2015. When they were still in the niche, he began softmaxxing, tweaks such as hairstyling, skincare remedies and diets, exercise regimes, but as the site threw up an ever harsher mirror, he began seeking more extreme fixes known as hard maxing. He went under the knife in 2022 to smooth his nose. Last year, he had Botox on his forehead, threaded his eyebrows, and got his teeth whitened and straightened. He is considering chin surgery, which he said would add thousands to the 10,000 he avoided the investment on his face. Jesus Christ. Okay, he's going in. The size of the chin is quite a dimorphic trait, like a signal of masculinity. I'm looking to vertically extend mine by a few millimeters. I love it, bro. Imagine vertically extending your chin, just coming out with a fucking Matt Rife fucking box. Imagine I just turned up one day and I was on stream, I was doing a fucking content, just saw a picture of me with this fucking box chin. I just turned up with my Turkish teeth. And my box chin, like nothing's happening. That would be so great. I might actually do that. Actually, turn up one day, just like, I mean, like threaded eyebrows, box chin, Turkish teeth, just like glistening, blinding you. Like, that would be fucking hilarious. James says he stays out of the more toxic corners of looksmaxxing forums. If anything, he thinks a new wave of TikTok has excluded much of the misogyny, but he says the potential remains for such content to stoke insecurity, some of which the flaws aren't fixable at all. A lot of teenagers are out there. It can definitely be bad for their mental health. One of the biggest names in looksmaxxing is Kareem Sahim, a 22-year-old student in San Diego, California. He goes by the username Syrian Psycho and has more than 1.5 million followers. His profile picture is Patrick Bateman, the fictional serial killer played by Christian Bale. Sahim grew up in Syria until his family were uprooted from the war. He says, I was the only Syrian and was quite white looking despite being Arab. I was deemed an outcast and triggered something in me. Acne also dented his confidence. Sahim, who moved to the US to go to university, began trying to improve his look. He hit the gym, he treated his spots and restyled his hair and clothes and documented some of what he was doing on TikTok, where he offered advice. Sahim says he wasn't even aware of looksmaxxing until 2022 when he posted a fast cut progress video showing how his appearance had altered between ages of 17 and 20. It's striking how poised and polished he was become, although he accepts that boys' faces can change radically in those years. Either way, the video blew up. It's been viewed 50 million times. It also went viral in the looksmaxxing forums, fueling skepticism, bordering on a contempt among original members of the community for brash TikTok avarites. I get daily hate, Sami says, who also says he rejects looksmaxxing incel tradition and that Bateman, an incel pinup, inspired him only to improve his looks. Of course, no one actually wants to be like that character. He says it relates to Bateman's loneliness. Shahim says older adults don't get looksmaxxing. There's been much more hand-wringing in the media over the bone smashing, for example, an extreme technique that involves taking a hammer to your face to what? Wow, I didn't know that was a thing. Bone smashing. For example, an extreme technique that involves taking a hammer to your face to promote more manly regrowth when the bones repair, but little evidence than anyone actually doing it. That is wild. Breaking the bones in your face to make them grow bigger or something. Fucking hell. The majority of the posts that you see about looksmaxxing are not serious, adding he promotes only soft maxing. But James' journey shows that vulnerable kids can take this stuff seriously. The biggest buzzword is mewing, which Shahim espouses. A teenager looking a bit tense in the jaw area may well be holding his tongue firmly against the roof of his mouth in an attempt to strengthen his jaw muscles. In the bizarre clash of cultures, mewing is named after an orthodontist in Kent who is well into his 90s. Since the 1970s, John Mew has promoted orthotropics, his controversial alternatives to braces and tooth extractions. The Mew say that their tongue exercises, childhood palate expanding devices and dietary changes can improve aesthetics of the face as well as overall health. So yeah, that's a looksmaxxing article, courtesy of The Guardian. Check it out yourself if you haven't checked it out. I think it's fucking brilliant. I encourage everybody to dabble into looksmaxxing, especially men. I think it's really important to, try to get the most, try to improve what we already have as a base, because we don't have much men. We have a nice jacket, we have a haircut, we have maybe a beard shape up or whatever, but we don't have much to kind of improve our looks, unfortunately, especially with the lack of people accepting makeup for men in conventional circles and shit. It'll probably get there eventually in the world. There'll probably be a time where makeup for men will be a kind of a thing that people do, but nowadays it's not really, unless you're obviously within the LGBT community. You can do what you want in that regard, but if you're not, it's not really widely accepted. So until that comes a point that it is, You have to make do what you have, and make do what you have. Looksmaxxing the only way to do it. Improving your skincare routine, improving your fucking hygiene, improving your fashion or your style, for lack of a better term. I think because style probably helps men improve how they look way more than fashion would, and just kind of doing the best you can to improve what you already have. That is only way you can really kind of open yourself up to better options out there when it comes to dating and relationships and sex and whatnot. But just in general, for just your confidence and how you carry yourself, I think it's really important to kind of dibble into these type of things, and kind of, because I think men can do this a bit brutally without it being a issue of like, without it becoming toxic and shit. I think maybe women's a little bit probably shouldn't get into stuff because maybe the insecurities, once you open that door, there's no kind of closing it. But I think men can do this sort of stuff without it being too destructive. I know I'm saying this, it doesn't make sense, but I think that's the case. But big up the looksmaxxing community, and again, check the article out. I'll put it in the descriptions for those of you that want to read it and check it for yourself. Next on list, crazy news courtesy of Vogue Business. I'm surprised by this, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe because I hoped secretly that he would build a Cold War into the UK version of fucking Armani or something. But unfortunately, courtesy of Vogue News Business, this is the news that I was surprised to hear. I first heard on Instagram. It says tomorrow comes for Samuel Ross. An exclusive interview in Vogue Business, a Cold War founder reveals that the 100% sale of his brand to Tomorrow Limited. So Samuel Ross has basically stepped away from a Cold War. He sold it completely in full to Tomorrow Limited, and he's put these two guys, I think, in charge. I forgot their names in the background, but they're the ones that are going to be leading the brand going forward, and I think he might focus on his own things. I'm actually surprised, but I'm not going to lie. I thought he was actually going to build that brand up to be, again, like I said, the next Armani. He was going to take it to heady heights and just have it be his kind of baby. But I guess he's maybe, I wouldn't say probably got bored of fashion, maybe he's just got other businesses that he's kind of trying to explore. He's obviously trying to get into the contemporary art field. He's obviously got a lot of stuff that he's doing in terms of architecture. He's got a lot of stuff he's doing with installation, sound design, collaborations under his own kind of SRA belt, right, that he's kind of doing at the moment. So let's read the article and see what the reason behind it is. Samuel Ross was 20 years old when he began working at Virgil's. Right, he was that young. Fucking hell. When he began working at Virgil's first ever intern. His duties included an then unlaunched brand concept called Off-White. Today, 12 years on, Ross reveals the 100% sale of a Cold War, the brand he founded in 2015, to previously minority partner Tomorrow Limited. Look at that. It's such a brilliant picture as well, right? Whitney Harlow and Virgil Abloh present British Emerging Talent Menswear Award to Samuel Ross at the Fashion Award 2018. That's such a special picture, isn't it? Virgil handing his once intern an award for emerging fashion designer. That is what you actually want to see in it when you're bringing somebody up. Like, again, that's what we miss actually in fashion nowadays. We don't really have people now in fashion who are giving us the behind the scenes stuff anymore. I think if you noticed it online, there's no more like cool behind the scenes studio stuff and here's me working on a collaboration, here's me drawing type of things anymore. That's completely gone. Virgil's the only person that provided that snapshot of like what it is to be a modern day creative director. We don't get it now, and now we just get the stuff in your face when it's finally done, but there's no more behind the scenes in the process of working things anymore, which is really a sad shame, really. So RIP to him, but that's a beautiful picture. It continues. While Ross and Stefano Martinentio, co-founder and CEO of Tomorrow Limited, did not disclose the precise terms of the private deal, Martinentio shares that the GMV, total revenue before deductions of a Cold War, amounted to 16 million. God damn. Yo, Cold War makes paper. That's a funny thing. I'm not going to lie. Maybe I don't go to the right places, but I don't actually see a lot of people wearing a Cold War in real life. I'm not going to lie. I know there's a big community of kids that love a Cold War online. There's a massive fucking Facebook group of people buying and selling a Cold War. I see the kids in the comments, they love fucking Samuel Ross. But I really don't see a lot of people in real life wearing it. Not gonna lie. Really don't see a lot of people wearing it. So it does go to show that they quietly do great business online without crazy fanfare and without influencers, without all these fancy street style pictures. They quietly sell. And I think that's what I would prefer. If I was in fashion and I had my brand, I'd much prefer to be quietly selling than be all out, like Hellstar, like you're everywhere on all these pages and shit, but your business maybe isn't all the way correct. But again, who knows? It continues. It's been amicable and fair. The terms of the sale reflect a strong future for a Cold War. What began as a bedroom startup 9 years ago is now a global business with multiple concepts. That's a brilliant fucking flex in it. A bedroom startup, something that he was screen printing at home, spray painting Air Force Ones, dip dyeing them and shit, removing laces, all that shit he was doing. I still remember that fucking crazy fashion show that he did where the person kind of broke through the cube or something. It was like a cube or something, right? He was doing all these really amazing theatrics on these shows. And I remember some of the guys on the show studio panels were like hating on it super hard. Again, you know, standard fashion shit, you know, when you're black and you're from a certain type of background and you don't come through a traditional fucking fashion school, there's always a little bit, you know, there's always a simmering of fucking dog whistling going on there. And I remember they were hating on that a lot. Oh, it's too theatrical, it's taken away from the clothes. Now look, now fucking look. After serving time as a label's licensed distributor partner and hitting 52 doors by the end of 2017, Tomorrow Ltd made its first minority investment in the Cold War in 2018. That was the very beginning of the new business model for us, says Martinentio. Since then, Tomorrow has emerged as a dynamic incubator, emerging brands across fashion, executing key operational functions from manufacturing while affording its creative partners the freedom to develop their brand entities. I'm not going to lie, for the longest time, I always assumed a Cold War minority stake was with New Guards Group. I thought they were the people, but I guess New Guards Group, the company that was invested in Off-White with Virgil, I guess I confused that with Heron Preston. I think Virgil got Heron Preston a deal with New Guards Group, which obviously let Heron Preston kind of develop that brand into what it is now. But I found, for some reason, I always confused Tomorrow with New Guards Group, but I guess they're completely different. Other Tomorrow investments since a Cold War include Coperni, Martin Rose, Charles Jeffrey Loverboy. Yo, it's been pretty crazy to see Charles Jeffrey Loverboy just be completely embraced by the black community. Black people love Charles Jeffrey Loverboy, specifically the hat, right? The little bunny ear hat thing. They fucking love that hat. I don't know why it's become so popular, but black people, especially in America, they fucking love Charles Jeffrey Loverboy. So that's been great to see. Coyville and artist Daniel Arsham's apparel project Objects for Life. It's also a early partner in Ambush. Oh, fucking Ambush. I fucking hate Ambush. Before the group was acquired by New Guards, before the label was acquired by New Guards Group in 2020, it invested in the progressive label. Oh, really? It's also invested in the retailer Machine A. Okay, cool. So they've definitely got ties. I guess it's definitely the UK company too, right? There's obviously Samuel Ross there with, I guess, the person from Tomorrow, right? The CEO and founder of Tomorrow, whose name is Stefano Morienti. So big up them. It continues. Morienti says that while the earliest investment in a Cold War was for a minority stake, we were talking about a full acquisition today, and our most recent deals have been minority investments. The reason behind this is the resources needed to launch and protect a brand are way more in the past, and through doubling down with the winners, we see opportunities. Ross and Moriento have been close professional confidence since 2018, and the CEO credits the designer as being instrumental in both Arsham and Rose's onboarding on Tomorrow. Is it? Really incredible. So Sammy Rose played a role in getting Daniel Arsham signed onto there, and obviously them signing Martin Rose. Great. Big up Sammy Ross. One of the biggest agents out there, right? Sammy Ross was instrumental in my decision to invest in Martin, and I suspect also in Martin's decision to accept the investment. The brand will now be led by Managing Director Giovanni De Marchi and creatively led by Art Director William Slocombe and Brand Director Liam Hassimi. Moriento says that the team has been decided not to appoint a new creative director, and instead they will take collective approach. Oh, I love this. So Sammy Ross isn't the creative director anymore. Those two guys, William and Liam, will lead, I guess it, with everybody else's input as well. I like that. I kind of like that. I'm not going to lie. Because the codes are already there. The codes of a Cold War are already there. They're kind of laid, it's kind of a bit obvious to see what they do, and if you've got any kind of design creative kind of talents about you, just tweaking that along the way is pretty easy thing to do, I'd imagine, and obviously improving and evolving as you progress. It says here a Cold War is a small brand, but it's a global brand. It's expanding as well as in the UK, and of course its audience is mostly in North America. That might explain why I don't see a lot in the UK. They said the audience is mostly North America, China and Korea. I had no idea it was so big in China and Korea. That's pretty cool. There are currently 2 brick and mortar stores in China and several pop shops and shops around the world. Morito says that the further expansion is planned. Yeah, true. So we're definitely going to see a London retail store probably very soon in a major Western city, you'd imagine, in the next couple of years. So I'm excited to see how that kind of pans out. I love some of the advertisement there. Very Stone Island-esque. That's great to see. As for Ross, he is stepping away satisfied. Great. Wow, man. Big up Sammy Ross, man. Again, as much as I would love him to stay and build a Cold War into the next Armani, he just got too much on his plate. Probably got so many opportunities. And I think sometimes it is good to step away at the top, right? While you're at your pomp, while you still got so many years to kind of, he's still not in his peak at all. It's probably best to step away now than to wait when things get really terrible. It says, as for Ross, he's stepping away satisfied. A Cold War has 10 full-time employees and most have been there for 6 or 7 years. There's still the very intimate way of working because people actually can scale and grow a career and have control over the brand produces, which goes back to my original idea of being a young startup and finding a new way to grow in fashion. Big up him. His next idea will be revealed in due course. However, he adds, my goal is now to design products and other entities under my own namesake, which is my... Exactly. I always got the appeal. I always got the feeling something, I don't know what changed in him, but I think something happened. I think he fell out of love of fashion with a capital F. That's my theory. I think somewhere along the line, he just kind of got put off with fashion in general and started to go down the more being a contemporary artist, being a quote unquote designer with a capital D, which I think is a far more interesting path anyway. I think being a fashion designer is pretty limiting. There's not really much you can do outside of just redesigning the fucking wheel. But I think when you become like an all-encompassing, wide-ranging designer, artiste, with a capital D and an A, I think the options are unlimited, from scoring movies to designing movie sets to installations to building buildings, interiors, fabrication, like music. It can just, there's so many options. But when you just limit yourself to fashion, there's not much else you can do apart from just making shit hot products and kind of just churning them out. And I think that there's people obviously that can do that now. But I think if you actually have, a lot of talents, a lot of skills, a lot of interest, I think actually stepping away from fashion and being that kind of guy is probably the better way to kind of go about doing things. I think that's why I've always kind of looked at people like Hiroshi Fujiwara as a really good example of somebody I always kind of wanted to emulate. Someone like even like a Tom Sachs being a good example, someone that I wanted to kind of emulate because they've had this kind of career where it's not really been, they dabbled in fashion. It's mostly been a designy type of thing, right? So if they want to build furniture, they build it. If they want to design, if they want to collaborate on electronics, they do it. If they want to do collaborations with spaces and art projects and exhibitions, they do it. It's all kind of, there's a broad range of things that they can do, and it's all about telling their story. It's all about sharing a vision of the world. It's all about inspiring. It's all about all these type of things that you can do that just kind of, it falls outside the remit of a very limited scope when it comes to fashion. Fashion can be quite, there's a lot of things you can do, but also it's quite limiting because at the end of the day, it's still fashion. That's basically what I was saying there. So big up a Cold War, big up Sammy Ross. Absolutely love to see it. Great to see a young black man be able to kind of take, again, a bedroom startup to this level where he's probably cashed out in the millions, right? That goes without saying. And now he's kind of, probably going to take his own namesake brand that he's obviously been pushing and using as a kind of platform, because it feels like in recent times there's been a lot more of the watch collaborations. I think I forgot what else he kind of done by his own label. I forgot, but I've seen a lot more of a shift of him kind of moving more towards representing himself as opposed to a Cold War. So he's kind of separate himself from a Cold War, do his own thing and kind of rewrite that and go from there. So it's been cool to see. So big up to Sammy Ross. Fucking love it. And hopefully great to see how a Cold War develops and goes from there. And I can't wait to see when they do launch their London store, because I got a feeling that's going to happen sometime very, very, very soon. Moving on from that one. And this might actually be the last thing. This is courtesy of Supreme. So big up Supreme, big up Blood Clot Supreme. So Supreme have released news about their new North Face collaboration that's going to be dropping, I think, on Thursday, I'm assuming. And I can't lie, this is fire. This might be one of the best Supreme North Face collaborations in a very, very long time. So especially when you consider some of the duds they've had in between. So it says Supreme and North Face have worked together on a new collection for spring 2024. The collection consists of a split taped seam shell jacket, Nupsi jacket, 6-panel waist bag, as well as a spring summer top and a crew neck short and a bear. And as you can hear from what I said, yes, it's a split design. So they put together this North Face design with the jacket where you got a Nupsi that's is split in half. So essentially, if you buy 2 jackets, you can keep swapping the pieces and have 2 different designs. So on this particular design, you've got 2 different types of camo. You got red, you got the regular green. On the jacket, you've got the whole black. And on the Nupsi here, you've got another camo with the black. And on the other Nupsi, you've got the purple and the kind of off-white creamy color that kind of looks like a previous collaboration that they did in like the early 2000s. So I think it's a really cool design. I really fucking like it. I definitely wear everything from this collection. So you got here a regular Nupsi jacket in the red and the camo. You've got another Nupsi here in the all black. You've got another Nupsi here in this kind of purple and off-white ivory type of colorway, which might be one of my favorites. I'm not gonna lie. Apart from the camo, this might be one of my favorites. This purple and off-white colorway is absolutely great with the bear as well matching on it. You've got obviously the taped seam. I guess you got the zip here in the back. I'm not too sure if it's, I guess it's probably taped, right? Because you wouldn't want the water to kind of seep through here. But I do love it. And obviously you got the hat as well. Like, look at this, look at that. With the split, you got the split hat as well. That hat's gonna fly off the shelves, as is this jacket. This jacket is fucking hard with the camo look on it. Because I think actually, if I'm being honest, I think the camo probably works best in the zip up jacket, in the zip up kind of hooded jacket, and then the North Face. Sorry, the Nupsi kind of looks better in this kind of off-white bone colorway and the purple colorway. But it looks so beautiful. And then you've also got the long sleeve shirt that features I think it's a badge design from like the 90s with the box logo words around there on the side. You've also got a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. But it looks fucking great. As you can see there, it zips all the way through from the back and to the front, and then you can then zip them up different bits and pieces and kind of mix and match as you please. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's going to try and zip this upside down as well. I'm sure that's going to be a thing, but it looks pretty cool. You got the different colorways of them. You got the all black version as well, which is pretty cool. And they're the 3 colors that you can buy basically. So you can buy the camo, the ivory and purple, and the all black. I'd probably say if I was going to purchase it, I'll probably get the purple and the ivory one, and then get the camo in the other jacket, which is the split. What you got is a shell jacket. This shell jacket, although it looks really hard in this colorway, I think it probably looks the hardest in that camo. It looks so tough in the camo, in that red camo with the green camo as well. It looks fucking incredible. So I love all of that. And again, one of the best Supreme North Face collaborations in a very, very, very long time. I'm not gonna lie. There's also a jumper sweatshirt here. As you can see, it's not a long sleeve, it's just a sweatshirt. I take that back. I thought it's a long sleeve. And then you've also got a t-shirt, which looks great. You've also got a pair of shorts, and you've also got a bag, which looks fucking awesome. And then the hat. The hat's gonna be a fucking big boy purchase for a lot of people out there. The hat's going to be very, very popular. That's going to fly off the shelves. You got half and half camo, and you've got the half and half cream as well, and you've also got a bear that comes with it that's also going to be very popular. So crazy to see. Love to have to see it. I think that's dropping on a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, it says here available February 29th and available in Japan on March 2nd. So big up Supreme for that one. Looks absolutely fantastic. I love every bit about it, and I think he looks absolutely barnstormingly great. Anyway, my friends, this has been the Agostinho Zinga Show, episode number 750. 750, can you believe that? 750 of Agostinho Zinga Show. It's been a pleasure to have your company. It really flipping has. If you watched this show for the first time, listen to this show for the first time, please make sure you leave me a 5-star review wherever you listen to it. If you're watching this on the live stream, like the stream down below. That'd be greatly appreciated. Leave me a comment if you want to let me know what you think of the show. Any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Now we're also going to be playing, if you listen to the audio side of the podcast, my tune of the day. My tune of the day today is going to be Solange, Almeida. because I recently went back and listened to When I Get Home, the album she dropped in 2019, because I forgot how fucking hard that was. So I'm going to be playing that as an outro. So if you're listening to the audio side of the podcast, you'll hear Solange Almeida playing from her album When I Get Home. So definitely check that out. If you're watching via the video side of the podcast, you won't hear anything, unfortunately. I don't want to get taken down in copyright, so I'll just fade to black. But thank you anyway for checking me out. It's been a pleasure, never a chore, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Take care, my friends. Bye.